Hey guys, KillerPigeon here, sitting here relentlessly bashing my keyboard, getting frustrated because I don't know quite why delivery optimization on Windows 10 decides to absorb all of my bandwidth, only to discover later that in fact Xbox decides under its game section to download there, but not actually be exposed in the Xbox app, but instead just download under delivery optimization, therefore stopping you from actually even ending the task without crashing your PC. Back with another day of data action, and despite the lag that was being caused by the wonderful Windows 10 updates that keep popping into my face like bam, 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 all over the place as if I'm being ganked by 5 mid, we had quite a few series today, and they just wrapped up. In fact, just a moment ago, the final series, Liquid versus Viking, had reached its resolution. But let's start at the beginning of the day, because we open up the day with the CIS Secret facing off against Gambit, and this went wholly as anticipated and expected. I wasn't really expecting too much out of Gambit, and Secret just didn't wait around. They completely asserted dominance in that series, and I think this just comes down to Gambit being that piecemeal squad, being the fact that like a half the squad hasn't really played together. It's going to take time, especially with another member coming back from being on the bench for so long. I think maybe we'll see some promise. I'm trying to think if I really saw a moment of promise against Secret. I can't say that I did. It was just Secret dominance. I honestly, I remember watching the games. I was like, if GPK dies, they've lost. Like, that's how it felt in every fight. And that's got to change. You can't just rely on him as your win condition. Like, that gets figured out very quickly, and the better teams will definitely exploit it to the maximum. That's exactly what happened here. Of course, following up from that was Ninjas in Pajamas versus Windstrike. What I like is we're seeing Ninjas in Pajamas show a little bit more flex. I want to see there's a little bit more diversity starting to come through. But obviously, in this series, we did see them kind of go back to more staple picks. You know, we like to see things like Lycan out of them. We know that they're very good with the Tinker. Also, seeing the Tinker without the Bounty Hunter shows some promise from them. I think they're the only team at the moment I can really think of, other than Secret running it in the 4 role, that I'm seeing is experiment with Tinker a little bit. Of course, Secret probably the only team you can think of that can make it work in the 4 role. But no surprise they take a victory over Windstrike. This team, I didn't expect much from. Like I said, it's a piecemeal squad entirely. But let's move beyond the piecemeals, because those first 2 series, I think like that is the most obvious outcomes. We got surprises as the day continued. I said yesterday in the video that I thought that Flight to Moon might take a game, but I wholly expected OG to win. And guess what? That wasn't the way. It was a reverse of that score. It was 2-1 in favor of Flight to Moon. I said what I wanted to see out of them was what we saw today. A little bit more flavor, a little bit more diversity in the draft. I feel like when I looked at this series and when I think back to how it went down, it kind of felt like Flight to Moon's drafts were easy to execute, and they were kind of getting what they wanted. And that tripped them up in the first game, but it seemed like instead of being that kid who discovers that he's got unlimited candy, eats all of it, and then just feels bloated and wants to throw it all up, they realize in game 2 and 3, oh, just because they're leaving X or Y open doesn't mean we have to take it. They're not interested either. Let's not worry about them going for Pangolier because it's so OP. Or, you know, maybe they're going to jump straight into this Weaver because it's so OP. Like, OG is a team that, from what we saw in the drafts, they're more interested in covering their draft than preventing you from completing yours, I want to say. Like, it's something that they've definitely used their advantage before. But at Flight of Moon, like, props to them. The first game went quite a while, but the second and the third game were very quick. Like, you look at Flight to Moon's draft, I'm impressed when I see a morphing lineup win at 22 minutes. That's a certain dominance. In the third game, just a simple, very casual push lineup backed up by saves and big team fight. All around, really good from Flight to Moon. Very promising. Love what I'm seeing from them. And the promising streak continues of the unexpected people, as I said that Nigma would probably lose against Na'Vi today, and they proved me wrong. Honestly, full props to them. I think Nigma are finally starting to find their stride a little bit. I think we've been worried from these guys for a little bit. Not too long, obviously, with the We Play Pushka League. There was concerns about how they were playing, but before that in the We Save League, they really shoe up and prove how capable they are. And against Na'Vi, they completely obliterate them. I think this really exposes the same issues that we've seen from Na'Vi for quite a while. They still exist. It's this kind of case where if Magical doesn't pop off, who the hell is popping off in the team? I gotta say, like, Nigma across the map just outplayed their opponents, but I think the thing with Na'Vi is whenever they're down, whenever the chips are down, they look to Magical to do something magical. And if he can't do anything magical, if he's completely and utterly just nullified, then it seems like they're lost in limbo, which is really crazy to say of a team that has the caliber of players they have. They have some really good players there. Of course, we did highlight that there's maybe a potential issue. Like Na'Vi, they have got a new player in, right? They just got rid of Slayer to bring in So Bad on a trial basis, and there's gonna be some teething issues. In fact, I'm not quite sure who the captain is right now. I actually forget. But that's also an issue. Like, who's the clear captain? Do you give it to Pasha? Pasha feels like the most experienced person there, but he's younger in the squad. Like maybe you're looking at Crystallize or Magical. There's issues that squad has to work out. I hope they do as the days continue on. I hope they get a little bit more clear mindset because right now they kind of look like headless chickens. Next up, though, Virtus Pro Prodigy continued to assert dominance. Hellraisers did not stand a goddamn chance against this force of CIS nature as they take the series 2-0. And I feel like this is just kind of very indicative of the progress in the last month and a half. Is that Hellraisers reached a point where they're on top. And I don't think that they got complacent. I think that they reached the apex of the style that they were playing and they need to adjust it. I'm not saying kick players out, bring new players in, but it feels like for Hellraisers, it's always been a case of we have these nice drafts. We have these drafts that aren't super flashy necessarily. They do what they need to. They get us through the game, and we will rely on stable gameplay. Whereas Virtus Pro Prodigy, they're clearly aiming for this more perfected art style, right? Where like this kind of high octane Dota comes out, where it might be a little bit risky, but more often than not, you're going to get better gains than you're going to give over. And that's exactly what we're seeing Hellraisers be punished for, is this fact that Virtus Pro Prodigy just seem to play with a lot more, I want to say, confidence. There's a lot more fluidity to the way they play their Dota. And I think we're going to see Virtus Pro Prodigy continue to dominate. After that, another big surprise came out. As I think most people would expect Hellraisers to go the mile. Well, guess what? The next series went the mile. 2-1 was the score between Alliance and Cyber Legacy. Now, I was concerned that maybe Cyber Legacy would get a game up over Alliance by using their early push strategies, catch them off guard. But my thought process originally was that Alliance will adapt to this, they'll punish it. Well, guess what? Game 1 went that way. Cyber Legacy, they take this easy early push strategy. They have the Luna, they've got the Beastmaster, and they have a Leshrac. Like, it's all just high tempo push. They're just constantly in the face of Alliance. There's nothing they could really do to alleviate that, especially when they go for a Morphling where they need to actually buy a little bit of time. Game 2, however, Cyber Legacy were kind of given what they wanted again. They got a DP, they got a Luna, they got this push strat with Enigma as well. But Alliance were waiting. They were ready. This Brewmaster seemed to pop off and was actually a pretty pivotal factor in them taking convincing fights and starting to leverage a lead. The funny part is that you go to the third game and the Brewmaster is sitting on the other side, and that's when it actually fell in favor of Cyber Legacy. This game did go another 40 minutes, but when you looked at the lineups, Alliance, I don't feel like their draft was necessarily bad. They had Kunkka, they had the DP, this Weaver. Maybe the Weaver and a carry feels a bit finicky because you want to build the Ags right and save someone else. I think actually the more I think back to that game and I look at that game, when you consider the fact that like Cyber Legacy have this Quap who is just popping off and this Troll who's getting everything he wants, when you look across at Alliance, there weren't really any good saves. There wasn't really any good way of resetting these fights, and that just played into Cyber Legacy's advantage. Like, props to Pikachu in the way he played that Queen of Pain in that game. He completely brutalized his opponents, and it definitely cruised them through to a decisive victory as they take the score 2-1 over Alliance. And then rounding out the day, you won't see another 1. You'll only see a 2 score followed by a 0 as Liquid fall to Viking GG 2-0. That's right, Viking. I mean, these guys, they've been improving time and time again. We've said this before. Like, when they turn up on the day, they can brawl with some of the best. I don't know if I put them on secret levels. Bit hard to, sure, you know, previous performances, there's been some good ones in there, but secret are on fire right now. But I would definitely put them like easily top 4 at the moment. The way they're playing is spooky for their opponents. And I think, honestly, to me, when I looked at those series, those 2 games, I kind of felt like Liquid were kind of completing their draft without acknowledging the way the draft had changed midway. So I think one example was like you saw them go for Mars even though there was already like a Venge there, which I know it's not the biggest save in the world, but like it's kind of a game. I think that in that game I was like maybe a Centaur would be better for them, but they went for the Mars anyway. And it just feels like Viking had drafts that were cleaner and easier to execute. It felt like Liquid had a draft that would be really good if you didn't have certain heroes on your opponent's lineup. And that definitely came to fruition in game 2 when it just felt like Viking had much better means to save. They had better ways of resetting the fights. And honestly, game 2 looks so goddamn convincing from them. And as a result, they take that series 2-0. And that does round up the action for today. But there's more action to come tomorrow. Hopefully, it'll kick up a little bit quicker tomorrow as they were delayed waiting on the SEA games today before EU CIS could begin. But tomorrow we'll open up with Liquid versus Gambit. I'm going to favor Liquid here. I've said my piece about Gambit. I need to see more. They need to prove themselves. We won't get to see them prove themselves today. But Liquid, after being whooped by Viking 2-0, they're going to have to switch someone up too. I think that this is still going to be in Liquid's favor. I expect this to still be a 2-0. Just no offense to Gam, but I need to see more, prove more to me, because so far I'm not impressed. Then after that, Na'Vi versus Unique. I'm honestly expecting Na'Vi to take this. I think they're going to bounce back. That capacity thing can maybe be a problem. I just don't see any potential in Unique so far. They need to show me something so I can actually be convinced. I need to see more out of them. I need to see better. Just another thought on the last series. In defense of Gambit, I will say the last 2 series they played have been rough. They had Viking GG who just whooped Liquid, and they had to deal with Secret. So maybe they'll take a game off Liquid, but I still say Liquid have that 60%. So 2-1. We'll say 2-1. I'll update that score 2-1. Ninjas in Pajamas versus Fly to Moon, however, is going to be pretty spicy. I think Fly to Moon are going to be feeling a little bit of a high after being OG 2-1 like that. They definitely looked formidable in that game. Fly to Moon honestly have proven that they can actually take series pretty damn well when they get the draft that they can execute. So I think that's going to come down to draft who's going to win that. This is where I get to see Ninjas in Pajamas. They can flex it a little bit more. I'm not expecting Fly to Moon to let them get the kind of flavor picks they necessarily want. I'm going to boldly say I think Fly to Moon will take that 2-1. I think, based on what I saw from the 2 teams today, it's kind of unfair because I don't think Windstrike's really a squad that puts up a fight against Ninjas in Pajamas. But Fly to Moon against OG, I was like, this is spicy. I like what I'm seeing. So I'm going to say 2-1. But I think that's like a coin flip series right now. Alliance versus Hellraisers, however, I'm expecting Alliance with a Fury to come back and stop losing 2-1. I expect them to take this series. I don't know if it's going to be 2-0, but I think it will be a 2-1 victory in favor of Alliance. I think they've had enough. I think they're really finally ready to punch back. They need to here because it's starting to look rough. After you lose to Nip on day 1, people were like, okay, we can see where we come from. But Cyber Legacy, I'm not going to say they're the Dark Dogs, the Dark Horses. Maybe they're the Dark Dogs if they start getting whooped very quickly. But I think for Cyber Legacy, the thing is they have a clear idea of how they want to play the game. And if you let them do that, they will walk over you. And that is these strats around the Luna, the DP, or the Beastmaster. They want early push, and you can't let them have it. And guess what? A team that probably won't let them have it tomorrow is Virtus Pro Prodigy, who I expect to take a 2-0 victory over Cyber Legacy. Cyber Legacy show some potential against Alliance, but I've got to honestly say I feel like Alliance aren't playing as good as we've seen them do previously. While Cyber Legacy are looking better than I've seen them look in previous iterations or previous times, I'm not going to say that this was, they're playing secret levels of Doa or anywhere close. I think Virtus Pro Prodigy will not hang around that series. It'll be a 2-0. Rounding out the day, final series is going to be Nigma versus Aggressive Mode. I don't want to be mean about it, but I think that's going to be a 2-0. I like how I put a button there. Whenever you put butts in something, it's like, do you really mean it? Let's be a bit mean about it. Actually, it's not even being mean. The reality is Nigma proved today that they're finding their stride again. They're ready to kick ass, and I don't see how Aggressive Mode holds a candle to that right now. Like the synergy between these members and even the caliber, the proven potential Enigma versus Aggressive Mode, I have to favor them 2-0. That's going to be my round out scores, though. That's what I think is going to happen in day number 3. And apologies for how late these ones are coming out. I'm waiting until the EU CIS is finishing of the day and then instantly putting out my videos. So it takes as long as it does. But that's day 2 rounded up. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you're a little bit surprised by anyone's performance. And let me know if you agree with what I predicted for tomorrow or disagree. I want to hear what you think instead. Always love to actually hear people's expectations, but my expectations are set. I'm going to be watching another day of Dota tomorrow. Hopefully you'll be watching too. Hopefully we'll get to reconvene and talk about it again tomorrow. I'm going to go now. It's been going long enough. It's midnight. I want to look at the battle pass, sniff the amazing cosmetics, just breathe it in, and then give my wallet over to Gaben.